The new BMW R1300 RT is supposed to offer touring comfort at the very highest level, while at the same time, the 1300 RT is meant to be the most dynamic RT of all time. That is a mighty claim, and whether it really manages that balancing act in real life, that's what I'm going to look at now. Welcome to the MotoVlog of the R1300 RT. Right, but before I swing a leg over the saddle, let's talk briefly about this latest generation of the RT. Because like the other 1300 models, this is not just a small update. You could actually say it's a completely new design from the ground up. At its heart, of course, is the 1300 Boxer engine with 145 horsepower and 149 Newton meters of torque. Around it, there's a sheet steel shell frame and an aluminium die-cast frame, revised styling, revised aerodynamics, revised electronics with even more features and more modern than before. And included in that are some interesting things too, like this thing here, for example. At first I thought, what on earth is that then? Right? It's optional, and as with so many things, you have to pay extra to get it. But this means, for example, when you're riding on the motorway or somewhere like that, you get a bit of airflow around your knees when it's open. And when you're properly cool enough and would rather be completely out of the wind, you just pull this once here and on the left as well, and then you really are in a sort of capsule. Wind protection, excellent. I already checked that on the motorway ride over here. Where am I anyway? Back there is the town sign for Tossa de Mar. We're on the Costa Brava, on the Catalan coast heading towards France. And this is where one of the best roads begins. One of my favorite roads in Spain, I think. Although that's a real tough call because Spain has so many brilliant motorcycle roads, right? I'll talk more about the RT's touring ability in the full test video on the RT, along with my impressions of these flaps and everything else. But today, I'd say in this MotoVlog, it's all about the dynamic side of things. Let's see whether the RT really is that dynamic. And by the way, we've also got ASA, which means automated shift assistant, no clutch lever. That should be exciting. We'll set off once again, but I'd say in a reasonably relaxed way to begin with. There we go, ASA in automatic mode, road mode, and off we go. Yes, quite a lot has changed ergonomically on the RT as well. The seating position has moved further forward and is supposed to feel more active. But don't worry, it's still a very touring-friendly, comfortable riding position. Nice and upright, no pressure on the arms. For a tourer, I'd say the knee angle is already maybe a little on the tighter side, but still pretty comfortable unless perhaps you're 6'3" or taller. Then I'd definitely go for a test ride to see whether that knee angle works for you. For my 6'1", it actually fits perfectly. Then, of course, the engine doesn't come as much of a surprise either. We already know it from the 1300 GS over the past 2 years. It works, it has plenty of punch down low, and it has punch at the top end too. The 1300 Boxer has become a lot more dynamic and keener to rev than the 1250 Boxer ever was. And accordingly, it's a very versatile engine here at the heart of the bike. But what about the rest of it? First of all, for such a high level of versatility as the RT is aiming for, a semi-active suspension is worth its weight in gold. We've got the further developed Evo telelever and Evo paralever on board here. They adapt more to the riding situation in terms of damping and spring rate, and also to the riding mode. So right now, in road, it's softer than it would be in dynamic. The ASA does the same, by the way. That adapts too. I think the ASA is the best executed of the modern or current shifting technologies, alternative shifting technologies. I'm not counting DCT in that, because that's been around for more than 10 years and it's the benchmark there. But the ASA shifts intuitively, shifts at the right moments, even though the flat twin is definitely a challenge when it comes to suppressing load changes during gear shifts. That's actually pretty smooth, considering it's still just a single clutch and not a dual clutch transmission like on the Honda. So all in all, a very, very good job. Even so, I have to say, when I really start pushing on a bit, I switch back to manual. Even in automatic mode, it's still hard now. I'll bang it down once. Twice, there we go. Manual inputs possible at any time and without delay. But fully manual works as well, of course. You do still have a gear lever that imitates a classic gearbox and foot shifting. That works, that's intuitive. You don't really have to relearn anything. With the automatic mode, you simply have an extra option. And there's another extra option too through a technological first on the RT. But for that, I first need a clear stretch of road to show you. So until I get a chance to overtake, let's talk briefly about comfort and the way it handles. The RT already has a low center of gravity thanks to the Boxer layout. mass centralization was also a focus point in the development of this new generation. That means it feels very willing. It drops into lean very willingly, very predictable. The RT's 281 kilograms, ready to ride, more or less disappear. And you simply don't feel what a big motorcycle you're actually hustling through the bends. The comfort or the damping itself, I also think, is very well judged. Semi-active adjustment, maximum versatility, it's firm and taut enough that you can really get a move on here as well. And now, of course, like always with telelever, completely without any sort of diving motion, but it's also gentle enough, soft enough that you're not just suffering here. It is still a touring motorcycle, first, second and third. And that's exactly how it feels. It soaks up bumps in the road very nicely. And the seat is incredibly wide as well. I can absolutely imagine doing hundreds of kilometers in one go here without any problems. Right then, now I finally need to get some open road. Right, finally a clear run. Took a while, and now I'm switching into manual mode for maximum control and into Dynamic Pro. By the way, our test bike here has pretty much every optional extra apart from the Pillion comfort package, which includes the top case and extra heating options for the passenger. Other than that though, it's basically got everything, including the pro riding modes and also this completely new feature, the so-called DCA. Other BMW models have DSA, dynamic suspension adjustment, but here it's dynamic chassis adjustment. And what that means is that these semi-active suspension elements not only adapt their damping, spring rate and height, but also the chassis geometry to match the selected riding mode. And now in Dynamic Pro, when I switched over, the front rose by 8 millimeters and the rear by 30 millimeters. That means on the one hand, more lean angle, and on the other hand, a steeper steering head angle and less trail, which means the RT becomes significantly more agile, follows the chosen line more eagerly, and that lets you really push on even harder with this machine. You can make even better use of the engine's potential that way. And it's mad when you think about what kind of motorcycle this actually is and how I can throw it into the bends like this here. The wonders of technology, that's all I can say. I honestly don't think you could ever ride an RT this quickly before. The brakes too, yes, the bite point is nicely soft, nicely unstressful, set up for a touring machine, clear, predictable, good feel at the lever, which means here as well, everything is there if you want to push on a bit. And you really do notice the extra lean angle clearance too. In road mode, I was still touching down the foot pegs fairly often. And here in Dynamic Pro, you really have to be going for it to get this thing down. Yes, and the road is beautiful. And it's not just motorcyclists who know that, but also the cyclists training here. But I think I've been able to show you how well the RT can be flicked through the bends. All in all, I'd say the DCA is definitely one of the highlights, if not the highlight, of the new RT, because it's a completely new idea and it really expands this motorcycle's capabilities in a big way. I'm just going to turn around quickly here now. Yes, and even the low-speed handling with the ASA and the bike, despite the swing weight, is no problem at all, nice and predictable. Like I said, the RT's handling is highly commendable and intuitive, not a challenge in the slightest. All in all, a very exciting motorcycle. I'm curious to hear what you make of it as well. Write it in the comments. But now I'd say let's stop here once more for a moment and have another look at it from the outside, especially with this magnificent view. So yes, the Costa Brava is not just a dream to ride, but a dream scenically as well. There we go, let's park the good thing up. Yes, visually too, I saw there was a bit of discussion online. Was the old one nicer? Is the new one nicer? I actually think the new one is very well done. A bit sharper edged somehow. I like that. Right here at the front, very prominently, the radar for the adaptive cruise control. Underneath that, we've also got the optional Headlight Pro with adaptive cornering light. Endless high tech, which I don't think will surprise anyone. A 10.25-inch TFT display. So yes, a 10.25-inch TFT display, everything you could possibly want and then some. Compartments, aerodynamics, everything has been thought through. The seat is adjustable depending on whether you want a more dynamic, more forward-leaning position or not. The pillion seat has been made larger too, so this really was a full ground-up revision. Now, what I can say so far is that the riding dynamics on my favorite road have won me over, and I hope this MotoVlog has won some of you over as well. I went at it so hard that even my Insta stick started to give up a bit. By the way, because we often get asked what this was filmed with, this video was shot with an Insta 360 Ace Pro 2 here. And here we've got an Insta360 X5, simply two perspectives, and at the back, a sort of video game chase camera view. I always think that looks cool with something like this. And to make it easier to control, we've also got this Insta360 here. It looks like a wristwatch, but it's actually a remote control for the camera, so you can see more easily what's being filmed at any given moment, and it just gives you easier access to buttons and so on. And the cool telemetry data you see in the video is also made possible by this little thing here. Right then, with that, I think it's time to wrap up the MotoVlog. This first impression of the R1300 RT. All the details will follow in the full test video, where we'll also spend more time looking at touring, luggage solutions and so on. I think all that's left to say is thanks for watching. See you next time. Take care and bye. Ciao.